Edstone? God, I'm in London, I'm dropping my H's. I grew up around here. I passed this cemetery on at least a weekly basis, and when I was going to college, often a daily basis, because it was on the route to the college in Lewisham. Don't even know where that's still there. But never, ever, ever went in here. Till today. I think you can probably get a feeling that it was a long while ago since I was anywhere near here. Let's explore. This is one of London's very large cemeteries. I suppose as age goes, it's not that old. I don't know, I mean, I'm not sure how old cemeteries are, but this was around 1840 developed, so to speak. And of course, at these kind of Victorian times, London wasn't anything like as large as it is today, but it was beginning to engulf the surrounding villages and towns as they were then, which of course now are London suburbs. I mean, including the area itself, but you know, local other areas such as Lewisham and Camberwell and well, Bermondsey, Peckham literally. The next door named area. This is where people from those areas, particularly wealthy people from those areas, came to be. And you've only really just got to look at what I'm walking up on here to see the wealth that these people must have had at those kind of times. I mean, just look at these monuments, and this area here is just lined with them, running up to the chapel up here. It's somewhat daunting. Yeah, I've got the camera out. It's beginning to rain, which is a damn nuisance. So I don't know what I'm going to get in terms of photography, but it's certainly the place a place to be, isn't it? If you're going to be looking at getting some interesting looks for your images. I don't know how successful any of these images are going to be today. I always find photographing in cemeteries, at least initially, a little bit challenging. Spots of rain, I may not have a great deal of time, to be honest, so I'm going to just kind of go for it. I've got a tripod with me. I don't know which side of my backpack it's on, but I'm going to choose not to use it for the minute, just for expediency's sake. I've got a camera grip on that a very kind person sent to me a little while ago. I've never really mentioned it before because I don't use it a great deal, but I was out doing street photography yesterday and it was absolutely invaluable for it. I mean, obviously, yeah, this isn't remotely inconspicuous, but in terms of use, it was brilliant. So I'm just going to kind of frame up a bit by hand. I'm likely to just use the screen. My camera is still in black and white from yesterday, and I'm interested in this grave here from Brandon Dancy, who died 1907, January 21st, 1907. Trying to keep the sky out because there's enough of it up there to make a difference here and just kind of drag the eye. So if I just put this on record, you can see how up the top here, that's just kind of grabbing the eye, and I've got the camera simulating a red filter here as well, which is having some effect on things. So I'm going to kind of zoom in a little bit to kind of around here and capture an image from that. Now, get it at eye level. There we go. Oh, got this creeping in. Bear with me. The graves are so tightly packed, it's actually really difficult to kind of comprehend this. There's barely any space between them. And I suppose this is what you get in a cemetery space that's kind of municipal in a large city, an old cemetery. You just can't walk between some of these. The kind of deeper I get into this wooded area, the more that appears to be apparent. Yeah, obviously in lots of these areas you've already seen, there's lots of gravestones that are completely kind of higgledy-piggledy. They've fallen over tree roots and everything, have upended the headstones and the like. This is alien to me, because the kind of cemeteries and graveyards and such that I'm going into typically in Norfolk are, you know, they're small, you know, they're for the local parish, which is rarely very, very big. But here in London, I don't know where to point the camera, actually, in some cases. I don't know. I mean, it's a silly thing to say. I do know where to point the camera, because around every tree there's something else appearing as an interesting scene. So yeah, just over here, gotta be careful where I step, but this one here I'm finding really interesting. It's just got a really interesting kind of windowy shape to it. A little bit further back down here, you can kind of get it, you can semi-isolate it, and it looks quite good. But what's really, it's just that the textures and everything around it I find really interesting. And here it is, the only thing that I'm kind of shooting. The others around it they are there, but this is so striking on its own as a design. I think it works very well. And there's a headstone here on what I'm notionally calling a path. Seems very disrespectful to step on it. Let's go high and look down ever so slightly on it. There's this lighter, kind of marbly one just peeking out from the ivy undergrowth down here. This needs the longer lens. I was hoping I wouldn't have to change lenses too much here, but I don't want to go through the undergrowth. And what I do want to do is shoot through the ivy here, so I get a really kind of blurred frame on it. But it's that little bit too far away. And it's in times like this where I find this bag the most awkward, because I don't want to put it down. So if you may remember, a few weeks ago I was talking about this bag, which is from K&F, a low-cost bag. It's only about $70, €70, something like that. I've been using it for 2-3 weeks perhaps now, and there are aspects of it that I really like, and excuse me, I'm making a meal of this.
A few moments later.
Is that in? You see, I'm having to juggle. I'm fighting with getting this lens in, and now my tripod collar has found its way off of it. I just realised that all you're seeing is me fumbling out of reach. I promise I'm putting the lens on. Yeah, if I could put it down, and it's just muddy here. I don't want to, but I'm sure I could find somewhere. But that is the identified problem. It's not a problem with the bag itself, it's a problem with the style of bag, and just something I'm not getting on with that well. Lots of other aspects of it I'm getting on absolutely fine. So anyway, I need to take this off. The strap with the grip kind of gets in the way. It's in the wrong place. I really need to kind of reroute it through this low point, but that would require me thinking about it when I'm sitting down somewhere and not using the camera. And that's just now a case of finding that route through this ivy to get a sharp, clean image of the small headstone with a nice blurred frame from the ivy. And there's also a headstone beyond it that I want to kind of avoid completely, so I'm having to go quite close with this. Take the aperture down to a 3.5, so I'm really not capturing anything of but kind of notional blur from this ivy here. There we go. That works well, I think. I like that. But now maybe a longer shot of it with the headstone behind, which actually is quite similar to the one I shot a moment ago, the kind of arched stained glass church window effect, picking up just enough depth to capture both of these. There we go. Now, it's entirely possible I'm missing a trick in here because there's a lot of ivy, and one of the things that ivy does, rather too much for my liking, is cast reflections from light. Yeah, the light hits ivy, and all of a sudden, I've got to put this down, excuse me. So the light hits ivy, and all of a sudden all you've got is just a whiteout fest. So let's just take a CPL and see what... It has a great deal of effect, to the point of actually completely taking it away, which is not something I want to do, because if I do, everything becomes absolutely uniform, which then removes the what's the word, the definition of it. It kind of melds into one. So I want some bright spots, I just don't want all of them. And this gravestone is again behind the small one that I was shooting a moment ago, but it's just at a different angle. So let's just kind of work with that a second. Let's twist this so you can put this on video so you can see what I'm talking about in terms of the... Look, as I twist that circular polarizer, you see the the effect it's having on those leaves. So you can see it's kind of next no polarization, and yeah, as I twist it, how those leaves begin to darken, and that's kind of maximum. And I think that's a little bit too much, so I just want to dial it back a touch. And why this works as a composition in my mind is because there's a slight diagonal, there's a slight offset between these two, and also because we're getting a foreground and a background to it. I don't know. I'm looking at this right in the centre here, that line coming through, which I've noticed, and that's in between me and it. It's not something that's close to the stone. So I can avoid it by just moving a foot or so over, and it doesn't hurt the image, which is good. So a lot of you may do some vlogging, I don't know. A lot of you may do tabletop photography, I don't know. But I do know that actually if you're into either of these things, or just want a very flexible tripod, this is it. I've gone through a number of these things in the past. I suppose the most famous one is the Joby Gorilla Pod. Hate the thing. What a pile of rubbish that is. It just breaks all the time. And there's lots of these bendy ones as well, you know. So yeah, I can kind of bend that leg up like that and do a little Larry Grayson kick. If anyone's old enough. There's a difference with this. One, there's a difference in cost to a degree. It's cheaper than a Joby. For sure, it's quite a lot cheaper than a Joby. I'm about to say Adobe. Oh, that's difficult. There's a number of differences. It's a plastic body, but these legs have got, I think, something like a 7-strand, twisted 7-strand wires in them, which makes them rather strong. Now, I've had similar things from people like Ulands and such, and they're very good. Don't get me wrong, but where they fail is the legs tend to be just a single strand running in them, and once that snaps, it's gone. It's useless. Whereas 7 wrapped strands in that gives that quite a lot of strength, but it's also really grippy on the inside as well. There's loads of grippy parts in there. But I stopped using this kind of thing. I've got probably 4 or 5 Gorilla Pods, and they break instantly almost. They're absolute fucking useless. The top of the range gorilla pod probably doesn't, because that's made of metal. This, I've had it perhaps 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm using it quite a bit. I'm using it on a number of things. So it's been used to hold lights on the table for tabletop shoots. It's been used obviously here, and I'm using it for vlogging quite a bit. And you can see on the top here, I've just left the top of my Osmo Pocket and such. But remarkably flexible thing in more ways than one. I just don't just mean the bendy legs, but you can hear. Hold on. See. So the legs click in and out of position, so you know when they're at their maximum as well. Each leg's got a 1/4-20 thread on it, so you can put something else on there. It's got a nice little ball head. Doing this with one hand's bloody awkward. Nice little ball head on it, and like all of these things, yeah, you've got also a. This is so awkward.
A few moments later.
Doing anything one hand is damned awkward, but there you go. Integrated phone holder. You knew that's what I was going for. It seems really well made. It is all pretty much plastic, apart from a couple of things like the ball itself is metal, and it's got metal ferrules in it. It seems really quite nicely built. What do I wish they would include on one of these things? It's really simple. If it can have a phone holder on it, if it can have a 1/4-20 thread on it and such. Why the hell can they also not integrate a Arca Swiss holder into it somehow? Because that really would make the difference between something that was pretty versatile and very versatile. Through use yesterday, it was on my backpack. My friend said, "Oh, you've dropped something, either up or you've just kicked it." And I looked down, and it's just this little plastic cap. I've no idea what it is, but I pick it up. I think, oh, hold on, it looks suspiciously like one of the feet from the Vlogpod, and they just got a kind of interference fit on it with a kind of lip inside. It came off while I was wandering around the photography show. I'd brushed up against something, or I'd taken the backpack off or something, and it just got pulled. But to me, that's something that shouldn't be happening. Sometimes you need just a little bit of height to make sure that you've got a clear view through, or you need to duck down or something. Just whenever you're shooting in environments like this and you've got a subject, do try to get errant twigs and such out of the way, because it's something I'm really bad at doing, and I'm trying harder to notice them now. So I'm just coming up out of the way, and there, that should work. So you might wonder what it is I'm looking for in situations like this, and it's no different from any other situation. I'm looking for something. I'm just wandering around with my eyes open, and if something catches my eye, then it's going to catch my eye as a photograph, generally speaking, depending obviously how I frame it. So contrast, quite simple. You know, I was wandering around here, and I saw this one creeping in. Move it out of the way a bit. That one creeping in over there on the background, and it's just there for the finding, isn't it? It's almost screaming in terms of just how bright the green of the fascia is, with all the algae and moss and whatever on it against a background. And also it's an island of tranquility, if you like, in the sea of the massive growth and such around it. There's just that slab. It's bang. It's in your face. It's framed by the chaos. If you can see it as plain as that, then isolating it, particularly if you're going with a longer lens, damn good idea. You might also wonder why I'm predominantly shooting in black and white. Again, it's because I want relative simplicity in images. The colours are mostly greens and browns, so unless I can find something that really works with a great colour contrast, there's not, in my mind, a great deal of point in shooting in colour, because actually I think the greens start confusing the image more. By stripping away this colour and focusing just on tones, I'm helping simplify an image and uncomplicate it in an incredibly complicated place. Through further use today, I've realised that another feature missing from the Vlogpod is a rotating ball head. That sounds silly, doesn't it? Of course the ball itself rotates, but what I mean is once you've locked things in place, to rotate the entire top like you can a tripod, kind of indexing rotation. That would be very useful as well. And because you tend to end up putting the legs of this thing in very awkward positions and such, you may find that actual positioning of your camera and getting everything straight, and I found that even with the Osmo Pocket, despite the gimbal, getting everything kind of lined up isn't as simple as it would be if there was a rotating head. But the great thing about this is it just grips. I put it down and it grips. It's done. I can't say it's going to do that on every surface, but it's bloody good on gravestones. I had been hoping to find some spring flowers here. There's the occasional clump of white things, snowdrops, around, but we're March now and they're beginning to turn, so they're not looking that great. But when I say occasional, they're very occasional, and really what I'd like to do is get them in maybe soft focus as a foreground to something, or in focus with a very kind of clear headstone in the background. But there's just none of it particularly. I mean, you can see it's just so overgrown in places here that getting anything much off the pathways is an absolute challenge. Of course, not everything is about the whole. I shoot a lot of detail, as you'll know if you follow the channel regularly, or often, or occasionally even. And if you don't, why not? There's a button down there to subscribe, you know. There's another one next to it, might be, that says join, and you'll get even more of me. What more could you want? Well, if you want to join, you'll get more of me, and if you want more, join. And it'll help me fill my coffee every month. But if you'd like to buy me a coffee, you're welcome to do that too. I'm gassing because I'm filling in for thinking about something to say about this here. Another headstone. God, I'm in London, I'm dropping my H's. Another headstone, and I'm only concentrating on this area of it here, because I think it's rather lovely, just these little bits of ivy and the like, maybe catching some of this up the top, just really honing into it and ending up with an image that's really very different from many of those that I have taken already today, where it's just a little kind of glimpse of it. The way that ivy just kind of creeps around, that notion of time, perhaps that time passing, because well, obviously everything has been engulfed and taken over by nature around here, but if you can just get that little snapshot of it, that ivy kind of creeping up, ever reaching higher and higher to get more and more light. Eventually, if it could, it would be at the top of the canopy, and have won the battle. But just here, poor John Williams has got some ivy creeping up his monument, and I think I've got a nice image of it. I've just switched to the green filter, which, because there's so much green here, causes green to really brighten up. And I found that's had some really interesting effects as well. I'll show you one now. So I found some of the tallest daffodils I've seen. I've got a nice shot using the memorial of Ernest George as a blanking on the left hand side. Quite underexposed, so I just darken everything down and I'll pull the flower up a little bit in post if necessary. See what you think. For much of my time here, and I've been here probably 2.5 hours now, it's been quite overcast, but the sun's breaking through, and I don't need to tell you, I'm sure, it just changes everything. You know, the light suddenly starts catching things, and you see things that you wouldn't have seen before, because all of a sudden there's this shaft of light on it. Here's an example over there, look. I'm pointing at the wrong thing, not that I think that makes any difference here. There, that one, the one furthest on the right, on my right. Does that translate as your right? I don't know. That one. And there we are, look, more spring flowers. There had to be some somewhere. Beautiful bank of primroses running off down here, and also further up there as well. So what did I say earlier? I was looking for something where I could get a spring flower as perhaps a focal point, looking towards something in the background, and it's exactly what I've managed to find here, I think. So let's see what we can do here, and hopefully my knees will let me get away with it. So we're looking at this one here, and we're being able to shoot straight up at the large monuments at the top there. This keeps crashing. I've got a problem with the lens connection here. Probably needs a service. Oh, careful. Find out, come on. That is interesting. The one plant that I was trying to take a photo of there, thankfully was spared. Lovely friendly dogs. But yeah, there we go. Anyway, so lovely little one just down there, shooting up to this f7.1, f8, something like that. So the background is still detectable, well, not detectable, identifiable, that's the word. Hope you like it. Well, thank you for sticking with me this far. This is going to be my last shot on camera, so to speak. There'll be others that I have shot off camera. So yeah, don't go anywhere just yet. So I've put it on a tripod here because I want to talk about this composition and give you some meaning to it, because it's the first time I've done this. I've been handheld throughout, and I felt for most of the time that kind of worked. I could kind of work with it, but this one's quite intricate. So our subject is this cross here, and we're looking through a number of things. Now, in the line of view is this urn down here, vase and thing, and also, now if I had a choice, I wouldn't want this in. I don't think so anyway, but actually I think it's not horrendous, because it's actually casting a little bit of light and it's acting a little bit as framing, at least in my mind at the moment. It might not, but the view is quite something looking through here, really long. So we're flanked by this tree and that one over there, both a bit of ivy on them. This one obviously more. I have toned down the ivy a little bit using the polarizer on the camera, and it's just a kind of tunneled view through here. Now I know what I'm going to do with this in post-production. I've kind of previewed this by underexposing, but what I'm going to do, the exposure is maybe half a stop under the camera's recommended to it. But what I'm going to do in post-production is likely to remain in black and white. I'm going to darken down a lot of the foreground leading up to it. I'm going to darken down some of the background, and the light, as it were, is going to come down on that cross. You're going to still pick up some of the detail in that urn. That's still going to be visible. This light's going to come down on that cross, and the image is called The Fallen. So stick around for a short slideshow. Thumbs up. Buy me a coffee, please. Be most welcome. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one. And if you fancy going to a cemetery, if you're anywhere near London, I thoroughly, that didn't come out well, did it? I thoroughly recommend any of the big kind of London cemeteries, the big 7 cemeteries: Brompton, Nunhead. This is Nunhead. I've lost the other bloody 5. Norwood, Highgate. Places like that. Check it out. Check out London 7 cemeteries on Google. You'll find them. Enjoy your shooting. So a big thank you to Freewell for sending the Vlogpod. If you're interested in getting one, there are affiliate links down below. It's a good product. I haven't found one of this kind of thing that is absolutely perfect yet, and I think this is probably around the best of the bunch. All the music in this video is from audio.com. There are links below and a 70% discount code.